Millions of people tour the White House every year. They see the chandeliers, the paintings, the famous Oval Office. But hidden behind those walls are rooms almost no one has ever seen. A war room where even the Secret Service wasn't allowed in. A hidden chamber built to secretly record a president's own conversations. A basement office tied to one of America's biggest political scandals. These are the secret rooms of the White House. Welcome back to Landmark Legacy, where every building holds a story it never told. January 1942. America had just entered World War II. President Franklin Roosevelt needed a place to track the entire war in real time. He found it in the most unlikely spot. A small ground-floor room that had once simply stored gifts given to the President and First Lady. Roosevelt had it transformed into what became known as the Map Room. The walls were covered floor to ceiling with battle maps, tracking Allied and enemy forces across Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. Army and Navy officers staffed the room 24 hours a day, every single day, for the rest of the war. Access was almost impossibly restricted. Even the Secret Service was barred from entering. From this single room, Roosevelt personally coordinated with Winston Churchill and Joseph Stalin. Over the course of the war, more than 1,000 secret messages passed between Roosevelt and Churchill alone. It was here, in this quiet, dimly lit room, hidden from almost everyone, that the direction of the Second World War was often decided. Here's a secret that stayed hidden for decades. Franklin Roosevelt didn't just run the war from a secret room. He also secretly recorded his own conversations, using a hidden chamber built directly beneath the Oval Office. The Secret Service installed a large recording machine, over 3 feet tall, inside a specially built room below the President's desk. They padlocked the door and disguised it as a simple storage closet, so that staff members who used the space to store gifts would never suspect what was hidden just beneath the floor. A single microphone was hidden inside the lampshade on Roosevelt's own desk. Wires ran down through a small hole drilled in the Oval Office floor, straight into the hidden machine below. Almost no one knew this recorder existed. Not most of his staff, not most of his advisors. Only a small handful of people, including the engineer who built it and the agents who installed it, knew the President's own words were being secretly captured, just feet beneath where he sat every single day. Not every secret room in White House history was built for national defense. In the early 1970s, during Richard Nixon's presidency, a small suite in the White House basement became the center of one of the most infamous scandals in American history. It was officially called the Special Investigations Unit, but insiders gave it a very different nickname, the Plumbers. Their job, officially, was to stop government leaks to the press. The room contained secure telephone lines used for sensitive communications and a safe that required 3 separate combinations just to open. From this quiet basement office, the unit orchestrated covert operations that would eventually spiral into the Watergate scandal, ultimately leading to the only resignation of a sitting US president in American history. A single small basement room, hidden in plain sight, connected to one of the biggest political downfalls America has ever seen. April 1961. The Bay of Pigs invasion had just failed disastrously, and President John F. Kennedy was furious, not just about the failure itself, but about how slowly information had reached him. Critical military updates had taken hours to arrive, filtered through multiple agencies before ever reaching the president's desk. Kennedy decided that could never happen again. He ordered the creation of a dedicated crisis command center inside the White House, a complex of secure, windowless rooms built specifically for real-time intelligence and military communication. It became known as the Situation Room. In the decades since, this room has been the epicenter of some of the most tense moments in American history. The Cuban Missile Crisis, the aftermath of September 11th, and in 2011, a room full of the president and his top advisors watching in near silence as Navy SEALs carried out the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. A room built out of one failure became the nerve center for nearly every major crisis that followed. The White House that millions of tourists walk through every year is only the version the public is allowed to see. Behind the state rooms and the famous portraits, there has always been another White House, one built from silence, secrecy, and rooms most Americans will never enter. A war room where a president outmaneuvered global threats without the Secret Service even watching. A hidden chamber recording history without most of the staff ever knowing. A basement office that quietly reshaped American politics forever. And a command center built from failure that became the room presidents turn to in their darkest hours. The White House isn't just a home or an office, it's layers upon layers of hidden history, most of which the public will never see. If this made you see the White House differently, hit subscribe. Because at Landmark Legacy, every episode uncovers the history hidden behind the walls.